technology advocate for Marin CIL, and Chris is the navigator for resiliency. So they're going to tell you then what services and that they have to offer, and so you can see and maybe adjust your needs to see what's being offered and things that are available to you. So with that, Tanya, did you want to get started? Or Chris?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out. I know that coming out on a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon for anyone can be a lot. So I appreciate you guys coming out and giving us your time and kind of going into this topic of resiliency. And we can get into the question of initially, like, what is resiliency? And I would say that has different meanings for different people. So I would actually open the floor to what you all believe that resiliency is within your lives and your community. So any volunteers? Yes, please.
Ability to adapt to change.
Okay, ability to adapt to change. That's excellent. Yes.
Bouncing back amidst adversity.
Bouncing back amidst adversity. Adversity. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Okay. So out of those two answers, we get into kind of these like general abstract ideas of what resiliency is. And those are great places to start because they allow us to impart kind of like these general ideas of what resiliency could look like within our own lives. But what we're here to offer as specifically MCIL is how resiliency plays concrete roles within our lives. And that those roles vary from person to person and from obstacle to obstacle that each person faces. So out of the maybe 24, 25 of us in here, we have probably 24, 25 different evacuation plans, 24, 25 different, medications we might be taking, different disabilities, different family members who might have to be taken care of, different family members who might be taking care of us. And so each one of us are going to have individualized ideas of what resiliency is in a concrete way for us. And that's, as Marin Center for Independent Living, kind of where we come into play. And I'll invite Tonique, because Tonique has about 8 years experience with MCIL. I currently have 1 year experience, but Tonique can give you a lot better idea of what the spirit of Marin Center for Independent Living is.
Thank you. He said 1 year, but he's been doing a lot and working hard in 1 year. He's learned a lot, and he's really good at what he's doing too. So we're excited that he's part of Marin CIL.
Yay, Chris.
Yes. Yes, I too would like to say thank you for having us come. And you can hear me okay, yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. So who are we? Who is MCIL? First of all, how many people have heard of Marin CIL? Great, okay, good. So yes, so we've been around for about 30 years and doing a lot of different things in the community. And one of the things that I would say that defines who we are is that we are like a group of individuals that work together to assist other individuals in attaining their highest good, in helping them and assisting them to live independently in their homes and go about everyday life. That's kind of the gist of who we are in a nutshell. Okay, and how do we do this? How do we accomplish that? We do this by, oh wait, that's not what I was going to say. But I did want to say that that's who we are as an individual, as a group, how we work together. We have a program that as Chris started talking about, that causes us to be like a hub, a resiliency hub. And that hub is, I would say, to share information, to get information out into the community, to teach, doing workshops such as these types of things, communication, and also offering a lot of different resources. So Chris and I today, that's one of the things that we'd like to talk about, is a couple of the specific resources that we have available at no charge to anybody here for those that are interested in participating in the program. And some of the resources that we offer, aside from these two things that we're going to talk about, we have assistance with benefits counseling, which I was talking about earlier. We assist with if individuals are in need of a caregiver, for example. We have a registry that will help with that. We are an emerging, no, we're not emerging, we are ADRC, adult, I can't remember the acronym, but I'm sure you guys have heard ADR. We've heard, that's really bad on our part that we can't remember the term. Great, okay. So we do offer, we'll do better, I promise you on that. We are actually the first here in the whole, I think, of California that started that is part of that. And what that is basically a group where we offer the services that I mentioned, some of the things like core services that we offer, peer counseling, like I mentioned already, benefits counseling. What is benefits counseling? So individuals that have Social Security or have Medicare or Medi-Cal, and they want to know how, if those benefits are affected, or how, if they need to change or want to add something or do something differently, how can I do that? Will I lose my benefits if I do that? We have, my colleagues work together with you to figure that out and assist you with that process. I feel like I'm missing several things.
Well, your program specifically.
Okay, so yeah, we also have a home modification program. And part of the home modification program, which I'll talk further about, is Dignity at Home. And I was going to mention in assistive technology. How many people know what assistive technology is? Can anyone tell me, give me an item that is an assistive technology item? Please.
Car.
Car?
Well, I was thinking assistive technology would help stroller, and it would help at home, like if you needed. Well, I was thinking of a car.
So, but she started off by saying something that will help you, that can help you. Did you say at home?
Like a car,
Like a car?
yeah. If you have a limb that is missing,
Mm-hmm.
that it could be a limb.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, this okay. That's what go ahead, please.
It's that thing that you can talk to and it can turn on your TV and all
A smart device.
that.
That's what you're talking about. I love it. Like Alexa.
Yeah.
Alexa is a smart device.
Don't let her in your house, she'll steal your
It could
stuff.
be as simple as a raised toilet seat, no?
There you go. That's durable medical equipment. You're right. Go ahead, John.
Hearing aids.
Hearing aids is assistive technology.
Canes.
Somebody else over here, I thought somebody was raising their hand. Anybody else?
I had my hand up. I was also going to ask if it had to be electronic. And so it's, because I was thinking the bar I've got in my shower.
Is assistive technology.
Right.
Anything, oh wait, one more.
Well, like Nixle things where you get alerts.
Yeah, I think you can use that. How I see it as anything that can assist you with doing life, right? So if I want to add something else, that your stick, your cane, that's assistive technology. It's a durable medical equipment, but it's still assistive. It's assistive because you need it, right? What I need might be different from what the next person needs. And John mentioned like a hearing aid. Another thing for assistive technology could be something like for someone who is visually impaired and they use their screen is brighter, or I'm not brighter, but the words on their screen is bigger. Their keyboard, they may have a keyboard where it's enhanced, the letters are bigger so they can see it. Those types of things are assistive technology. And so what we do is if you called in and you said that you needed some help with something, we will try to help you find that, or make the referral, or offer a resource to help you attain it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So by way of clarification,
Mm-hmm.
our generation, we grew up technology
Mm-hmm.
was electronic. You know, it was like DVRs and those kinds of things. But it sounds like now, in this area, the word technology really just applies to a device, whether it's technology or not. So it's, I just think the word technology can be confusing itself because we grew up with it meaning something else.
This is true. So and that's why we're having this discussion, to say how broad it is
Okay.
and how many different ways it can be used.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks for introducing MCIL for us, Janique. The main reason we want to kind of like get the broad idea of what MCIL is because a big reason for MCIL and its purpose within the community is almost, as Janique was saying, a hub for resources. And that's the main thing when we're getting into something like resiliency and disasters that we've been facing for the last decade. And for looking within the last year, we've had multiple rainstorms that have caused mudslides that have displaced several people so far. So we're getting into this idea of how these hubs of resources can utilize their networks that they already have access to in order to distribute emergency supplies and do so through these programs we have. So that brings me to the program that I represent, which is Powered and Prepared. Powered and Prepared was granted down, or Powered and Prepared. Powered and Prepared.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep, it's on the brochure. So the purpose of Powered and Prepared is to increase overall resiliency. Yeah, no worries. The cornerstone of that program comes in the form of these batteries. So the battery that's on the corner of the table right there. PG&E noticed that when they started doing things in order to safeguard the grid, so the PSPS events, in which they were shutting down portions of the grid for maybe a couple days at a time due to high threat events, so wind, dry climate, high temperatures, they found that they had no idea that people were living almost day to day using things like CPAP machines, using things like oxygen, in order to alleviate the stress that caused for those individuals and their families. They decided to start distributing these batteries, and they come from anything in the 500 watt variety, which is right there, all the way up through 6,000 watts. And that's to try to cover the entire spectrum of what someone's electrical needs may be in order to sustain themselves, sustain their medication, and sustain the people they're supporting through all events. And we use the term access and functional needs to represent people who are living with some sort of disability or some kind of need they need fulfilled. And that hits the entire gambit of what people might be undergoing in their day-to-day life. So whether that's someone who has arthritis, who because of the temperature might need heating available to them, that's something that we provide the battery for. Someone who's using a CPAP so they can sleep at night, that's something we provide the battery for. Someone who is needs dialysis and maybe non-ambulatory and can't leave their house. The amount of scenarios for each and every person are infinite. And the battery, because of how kind of simple, easy to use it is, has been really good in assisting with, solving a lot of those problems. That being said, the battery is only a part of the program. The other part of the program goes into almost what's on the interior booklet of your brochure. So it goes into individual readiness, it goes into community readiness, and also us as an organization trying to communicate and reach out to other organizations in order to provide resources to you all, and getting feedback from you all on what you may need and resources you may need in the future. And going from that into kind of back into the resiliency conversation, now that we've kind of laid out a few of the obstacles, a few of the catastrophes that we might be facing in the future, whether that's wildfires, earthquakes, rainstorms, could I just get, real quick, a volunteer, just raise your hand and give me an idea of how long it would take you to leave your house in the event. I would say, how long does it take you to leave your house in general?
15 minutes.
Embarrassingly long.
Well, I always forget something, so I
Yeah,
have to
me
go
too,
back.
me too.
Can't put shoes on very well or very fast.
Okay.
And go up and down the stairs and get in the car.
About 15.
About 15 minutes?
Half hour.
Half hour? Okay.
In order to be really safe, we would need a miniature helicopter that lifts us out of the area.
There we go. Maybe that's a community buy.
Yeah, it's SEIL.
So we have a recommendation for a community miniature helicopter.
It's an assistive technology.
Yes.
So and I asked the time question because it breaks down into tasks that you're completing. So you're gonna have, whether you have it written out or whether it's in your head, you're gonna have a checklist of things that you need to accomplish just to go to the grocery store. And the same exact thing pertains to a catastrophe. So there's gonna be a checklist, whether it's in your head and hasn't necessarily been prepared ahead of time, or it has been prepared ahead of time and it's written down in front of you. These are things that you absolutely have to, or are going to help you in the near to long-term future once you leave that door. And that's why we lay out things like the brochure. That's why we bring up these questions, because the more we can think through those solutions, the less the situation impacts our state of mind at the time. Because even on a good day, it might take you 30, 45 minutes to get out the door. In the event of, bad weather, smoke, just the stress of having an evacuation notice, getting pets, especially if the pets are panicked by the situation, because pets often feed off of the emotions of their owners. So that can increase something like 30 minutes to an hour and a half. Yeah. So Tony was asking, well, what are some things we can do in order to alleviate that? I'll throw it out there because you guys are, a wealth of experience, and I'm sure all of you are incredibly smart. So I'm sure a lot of you already have ideas of what you can do.
Well, one thing for cats that you can do is take the carriers down and let them, play with the carrier, and sometimes you just sleep in the carrier. So the carrier doesn't mean a negative thing, like you're going to the vet, or, you know, you let them be close with their carrier, the cat carrier.
Okay. Yeah, so familiarize yourself and your pets with what they're going to be traveling in. So whether that's a carrier or, you know, taking pets into the car, so they're familiar with that. I heard go bag over here. What are some things we have in our go bags real quick?
Clothing,
Medicine,
extra shoes.
money, shoes,
Paperwork, important paperwork, passport, things that you need.
documents, paperwork, passport,
Hearing aids.
hearing aids.
Oh, you know, how do you tell?
Exactly. Hearing aids, do we have a power source for our hearing aids? If we find ourselves outside of the house, what are we looking at in terms of the setting that we're going to be in? How many people here have someone they can lean on in the event of an emergency who might live within the area but not, you know, within your immediate home?
I think we all do it.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, that's a great thing to have, because I know in some instances we have things like these batteries that might make us feel like our home is a castle to us. But, you know, it's not always going to be that way. Sometimes we're going to have to reach outside of ourselves, outside of our own homes, and get in contact with someone who can, you know, help us. And I would say, we were actually having a discussion on this yesterday, was that, you know, all of you who are here today are more part of the group of people who is actively reaching out and looking for resources. Not everyone does that. A lot of times, just due to disability and, you know, aging in general, people get isolated. It's important that, you know, as neighbors, as a community, we kind of recognize, like, all right, within our block, because overall, like, the health of the community is impacted by every member. So in our block, who are people who might be isolated? Who are people who might need additional assistance that might not be asking for it? And in also doing so in a way that that person still maintains their independence and their enfranchisement. All right, and, go ahead.
One of the most important things that I did was to purchase a wheelchair with batteries that can be, what is the word?
Recharged.
Recharged.
That's okay.
Because not all the stores you shop at have the carts. Like I go to Macy's
Mm-hmm.
and where else? Rite Aid and things like that. And they sort of didn't tell me how much it weighed accurately. And I could drag it out of my trunk and it collapses. And set it up, and it cost a lot of money, and it was worth it. Because I was independent, I could go to the zoo and have my own vehicle. And the best thing you do is marry a man who's 22 years younger than you. He could carry me if he had to. But do you have wheelchairs that are with a joystick, whatever, that will move you? Do you have that kind of thing also?
So that kind of goes into the assistive technology question, and there we do have, I would say, access to people who can put you in contact with programs like that. I would have to look that up specifically. I think that falls more into Tonique's domain than mine, but that also goes into, like what you were saying, maintaining our independence as we age. And actually Tonique's program, Dignity at Home, really works in order to assist people in moving freely throughout their own homes and helping them, you know, prevent that isolation and being able to move freely themselves. And I'll pass the mic to her and allow her to kind of go into that a little more.
Thank you. Raise your hand if you're aging. If aging, did you see how difficult it was for me to get off that chair this morning? The program that he's talking about, Dignity at Home, right, is to assist with that process. So we're all aging, and what we'd like to do, as I said earlier, is assist you in remaining as independent as possible in your own home. More and more people are choosing to stay in their home as long as they possibly can. And so the program, Dignity at Home, assists you with that process. Let me think of some of the things that we could do in our home to make our home more accessible for us. Does anyone know, can you think of something that you can do, let's say in the kitchen or the bathroom, yourself, without, go ahead.
You can buy a raised toilet seat.
Okay.
You can buy grab bars for the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy, and those would need to be assembled, but grab bars for the shower.
Right. What about some of the things, go ahead.
Chairlift to get you up to your second floor bedroom.
That, yeah.
What'd you say?
She said a chair lift.
So chairlifts, grab bars, pull bars.
No, to get, they're mechanical, to get you up to the steps.
To get up the steps if you have a second story or something like that.
Yeah.
Or if your home is on a hill, then you might need one of those as well. So here, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I have hand injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a knife that is like, here's the handle and here's the blade. So I have a lot of hand instruments in the kitchen
Mm-hmm.
that are very unusual.
Which we call that assistive technology, right?
And it makes it so much easier for me not to go like this,
Right,
but to use a knife like this, like a saw.
right. Which makes it more accessible for you.
Right, and I get this magazine, I forget the name of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it has all these handy gadgets for the kitchen. And one thing is that I use all the time, it has you know how in the car, how you have a thing that you hold on to?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has a thing and it's much lower. So you hang it from your door and it's much lower. I love to hang on something.
Right. So can anybody tell me some other things that you can, go ahead.
A ramp.
A ramp, okay? These are kind of big ticket items. How about things that we can do within our homes ourselves before that part, before you do a ramp, before you do a chairlift?
Get rid of the little throw rugs that are trip hazards.
There.
That is a very good idea, very important as well. Anybody else? How about in your kitchen? Like, for example, I always use the example of changing your things that you use every day, like your spices and in your dishes and certain things, like putting them in a lower area so you don't have to reach out and reach up to grab them if that's a difficult thing for you.
Pull out shelving.
Pull out shelving.
Everything comes out at you as opposed to being over.
That's right.
On the floor to get a can.
A lot of the newer homes are doing that, you know, having the cabinets and such that do those types of things.
And then it's smoke detectors, and also the thing that you have to clean out where from the laundry, these little fuzzy things are sticking. So it doesn't build up and create fires.
Right, so she's mentioning something to do that is preventable so that you don't cause a fire in your home, which is to clean out the lint basket in your dryer, which is great. So additionally, those are the type of things that we can do. I like the fact that you mentioned the throw rugs. That is one of the most difficult things that people choose not to quickly do, because it will assist you if you just pick those rugs up. If you move your things around in the kitchen, if you do things like, I don't know, lights and stuff in areas on the outside of your home, probably things that you guys have already done to assist you as you're walking up the steps, you know. And as you said, if we have a ramp, I mean, if you need a ramp or something to assist you with that process. Are you thinking of something? You're shaking. I thought you were telling, okay. Yeah, so those are some of the things. So the Dignity at Home program offers, as I mentioned, I sent you I gave you guys the handout about it. You, at no charge to you, you're able to get the grab bars, at least 2 grab bars, if you need it. Durable medical equipment, which we talked about. I heard different ones say a handheld shower, or a toilet seat riser, or a shower chair. All of those things are included with it, but the most important part is the assessment. They'll come in your home and do an assessment and let you know, hey, you know, you might want to change this, or this is something that you can do. And so there is the grant that is per person to assist you with that process. So once the person comes in, the company that we are contracted, that we are partnering with, Home Safety Services, will come in and do the assessment. They'll take a look, and if they find something, they'll suggest to you what it is, and then they'll take care of it. So for those individuals that are interested in doing that, we can, you know, sign you up later. Also, my contact information is there on the flyer. I'll mention it over the same weekend. Okay, yes.
I have a question. You've
Mhm.
gone through a lot, I mean, Dignity at Home is great. Do you have a list of the resources?
Resources like, what do you?
Everything.
All the resources you offer.
Oh, a list, not necessarily. Our website is probably the best place to get that information, because it breaks it down into sections.
And
Right.
what's your website?
It's on the flyer, it's on everything there, but it's Marin
Oh, okay.
CIL.org.
Okay,
Oh,
Right.
what's the process?
For Dignity at Home. And okay, so on our website, if you are interested in signing up, there, you click on the link that says Dignity at Home, more information. And there's like a few questions they ask you, maybe 5 or 10 questions that they want to ask you. It is not income based, they're not concerned with your income, they just want to know the demographics of the individuals that are applying. And as I said, it's free to you. The work is free to you, at no cost to you, if it is something that you're interested in. One of the things that in conversation we were talking about is a lot of people do not think it's time, or they don't want to get it, or they don't want to, you know, like, I don't need a grab bar yet, or all of those kind of things. I look at this today as you don't need it today, but you might need it another day. So while the program is here and it's available, if you want to at least have the assessment about some of the things that you can do down the line, this is a great program for that. Yes?
Does that include the installation of the grab bars as well?
Yes. Yes, when I can just hand you the grab bars, yes. No, good question, very good question. It includes the installation of the grab bar. If you need a ramp, right, it includes that installation of the ramp. Some people have steps and they don't want a ramp, but they might want railings or they want the railings reinforced. Some people may have a long hall and they want to have a railing in that long hall to assist them as they're walking. Maybe they get a little unstable in their home. So all of those things that are offered, including the durable medical equipment that I mentioned, will be installed by our contractor, Home Safety Services.
and apnea, as far as CPAPs, do you have anything for that?
That was the battery to assist if you, in the event that there's a power outage. Are you speaking of like that?
Yeah.
Yes, we do
Now,
offer
that battery, is that something we buy?
that is something that is offered through the Powered and Prepared program. Again, no charge to you. Did you talk about the baseline? I think I heard you mention that.
So Powered and Prepared, because it's done through association with PG&E, I also offer support for a couple other things. That includes a medical baseline. Some of you are probably already on it, which offers subsidies for electricity usage. If you are using, something like medical equipment that employs electricity. Either way, if you sign up and I get back in touch with you over the next week or two on the sign up sheet, one of the things for the battery I'll probably immediately ask you is hey, are you on the medical baseline program currently? And if you're not, I'll give you the resources in order to sign up. It's really no skin off your back. All you have to do is sign up, and they'll either offer you a subsidy or they won't. Besides that, do you have anything else, Tony?
So I want to know how many people are interested today to sign up for either Powered and Prepared or Dignity at Home. How many people? I'm showing hands. Great. I want to capture all of that. If I miss you, please let us know, whichever program it is that you think that you want. I'm sorry.
Do I just have to write you, Chris? No, I have to write.
We'll help you get signed up.
I can,
Yeah, we'll talk to you about that offline.
okay.
One thing that we forgot to mention, let me say this and then I'll mention that. If you all are connected with other organizations that you participate with and you think that this presentation is something that they need to hear because they don't know about it and you want them to have access to this information, you let me know. And your neighbors, right? Want your neighbors to know. Let us know so that we can connect with them and do the same thing, either this presentation or just call because they have a question and they want to understand it more specifically. Myself or Chris can have a conversation about that with them individually. And then the last thing I wanted to say is that we're going to raffle off. Is this what we're raffling off? So, you tell me what it is.
Yeah, so we have 2 of these Luminade lanterns, and they're actually really great lanterns, whether you're using them in the event of an emergency or you're just going camping with them. Completely waterproof, offer a ton of light, and we're giving 2 of them away today. So I'm going to think of 2 numbers. Go 6 and 14. And if you guys look on the corner of the front of your brochures, there's going to be a 6 and a 14. So we have 14 and 6. Yeah.
6 and 14.
You have
Yes.
Some of us did not get pamphlets.
I know. I apologize. Toward the end of everybody coming in, we ran short on pamphlets, so I apologize to those who didn't get pamphlets.
Oh, you did. I was getting it for a
Yes, John.
Chris, can you get us some more pamphlets later? We'll
Yeah.
put them on the counter at the front here.
Yes, I'll swing by here later in the week and bring some more pamphlets by. I think I brought about 20 by today, and I think when I came for Rolling Roots, I brought another 20. You guys have been very engaged in terms of picking those up, and I appreciate that. Yes?
I just have questions. I'm not signing up today because I'm not even sure which is the most appropriate thing for me. Plus, I just put some rugs down in my kitchen because I had hip surgery, hip and foot surgery in 2021, and some of that got better, but also I need a rug for the comfort of my foot. I can't walk on a bare floor.
Yeah.
So, so my problem is a little different than
Yeah, and in the Dignity at Home program, when someone comes by to assess your home, it's not going to be, you know, a police action where someone comes in and they're like, hey, you can't have that rug in here. No, we're going to be working with you. It's your home. Like, you get to decide what goes in there and what doesn't. So, yeah.
Can I just also say, if you must have the rug, they can show you how to have the rug safely. Did everybody get a chance to sign the sign up sheet, or not the sign up, but just to say that you're here? Everybody get a chance?
Did you guys understand?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. First of all, please tell your neighbors. We all know of the people who are stuck inside, who don't get out, who don't want to get out, or maybe just not available to be here today. So do talk to your neighbors. We live very close to one another. We know the people who are in need of these services. And secondly, we've got a resident here who has a CPAP machine. She went to visit Chris, and she came home with a machine. She's got a battery that runs her CPAP. Janine, who
Yep.
and
Yes.
she raves about it. She doesn't use it yet, but when the power goes on, like it did yesterday, she plugs it in, and it's just an amazing reassurance for her that she knows she's not going to have to struggle.
Yes, and even CPAP machines, I was unfamiliar with their use before I kind of came into this job, and I had no idea how jarring it was for someone to have to wake up in the middle of the night gasping for air and not being able to go to sleep because the power goes out. So, yeah, I'm glad that we can offer something like that to you guys.
Well, thanks a lot, Chris. And, for MVest, we are very resiliency oriented. We just started a new program that I think you'll be interested in. I think it will serve you all a lot. And it's called a safety pod. It's a simple thing, really. What we're encouraging you to do is to join small groups locally within your neighborhood, just on your street, so that your pod will have maybe 4 or 5 people, 3 people at a minimum, so that when there is an emergency, it's a simple thing. Probably the easiest for you is to pull out your fob and press the little button there that honks your horn. And then that will let people in your pod know that you need some help. And this can save lives. There have been more than I would like to say the number of people that have died in this community because they were socially isolated. Some people for weeks were dead in their home because nobody knew that they needed assistance. So this is one way that you can help yourself. Join a pod, start a pod, 3 or 4 people. Make a plan. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details because it's in your coming echo. Yes?
I'm sorry, I missed the name of your organization.
MVest, that's Marin Valley Emergency Safety Team. Yes. Thanks to this lady right here who started the organization years ago. Go ahead.
There are a couple of people here from Pacheco Valley, and some of the information we've been giving you is not necessarily something that's organized in Pacheco Valley. I'm working with Kay in Pacheco Valley to get those services, at least knowledge about those services out there. But if you'd like to after, please come and speak to me and we can talk about what we do here and how it might be applicable to you there.
Thanks, John. And one last word is that MVest is a volunteer organization. We need volunteers. Most of us retired here, but even some of the people that are still working stiffs volunteer for MVest. So there's something for everybody, really. If nothing more, just advocates for, for where you are in your life, what you're doing, and what your needs are, and maybe some ideas of how you can help the rest of the community. So if you're interested at all in volunteering, let us know. John is with MVest, Herman is with MVest, Steve is with MVest, and there are block captains here as well.
I'm with
Pam.
Amber.
Yeah.
With Catherine, I started.
Okay, well, Chris,
May I ask
thank
a
you very
question?
much. Really appreciate your
I have
presentation.
a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I just wonder, because so many of us who are volunteering so many hours, such as MVest, have done so much free service. How would it be like if the owner of the park would not have you? How would take their responsibility of their ownership if you wouldn't volunteer? Because we all depend on your volunteering, and that is hanging in the air. Just the other question is, why do people isolate? What is the core of isolation?
Depression.
And for that reason, it is all very interesting, but some of us are still working, and maybe some people volunteer quietly and don't even speak about it, and then get frustrated, step back and isolate. So these are open questions. I just want everybody to hear it and get engaged, because not just a few of us can do everything. And that includes the city. They have to pay attention also.
Okay, well, thank you. Actually, it's a very good question. Why do people isolate? And I can answer it in a very broad way, that all of us as we get older, become more frail. And there's many different kinds of frailty. There's a cognitive frailty, there's social frailty, there is sort of a mechanical frailty, metabolic frailty. I mean, all these different ways that we age and get older and become more, let's say, become less individually resilient. So this is one way. MCIL is one way to help you individually to be resilient, and MVest with the pod program is another. But the thing is that most people are not so socially isolated when they come in, but live in the park. But over time, they become more isolated. They maybe forget who their neighbors are. A lot of their neighbors may have left for one mode or another, and so they might find themselves alone, or they find that their best friend is becoming the television set. So
Lost a spouse.
what's that?
Lost a spouse.
Yes, depression is a big deal. Lose a job, lose a spouse, lose a sibling. All these different losses is a big part of depression, and depression is a big part of isolation. So, yeah, that's isolation. So I really want to get back to thanking Chris and Tony for what they have to offer, with who they represent as MCIL, and